I figured I'd start talking about some recent matches I had, explain to everyone how my thought process works throughout basically every single one of them. So for here, I like to just go for 2 miners and 2 bombers. Usually it's enough to take out most things, or at least be a threat. And here, I actually send them back, because I don't know if he's going to send something to actually either make them all explode, or just, be able to take tower super easily. Heck, maybe even run past it. Try to harass that nice statue. So I keep 3 bombers back in case I need to garrison them or send them forward. Here I get an early Eclipse Sword in case he sends any melee units towards the tower, so it makes it immediately impossible for him to do so without getting in some range. Or just using a spell like Scorch. And then there's a Sword Wrath that luckily I got the Eclipse Sword in time. Stops him from doing anything. And then here I keep on checking back and forth between... Ooh, excuse me, that's a burp. If he has any units in sight, while also making sure my economy is at its best. Then here with Tower Spawn, I see that he's got a whole bunch of Sword Wrath stacked up behind Rip Riders. So I'm thinking that's his main strategy, is just to have a bunch of Sword Wrath, Rip Riders, Archers. So I decided to stack a bunch of Bombers. Then here is why I don't always send my whole army to the tower, in case he try to pull off something like that and take it easily. But I'm down a whole lot of economy and units. What's odd here is that he decided not to actually take it. He just let me take the tower back freely. Although he did turn around with one sword after trying to take it back. Actually no, this is when he started sacrificing them to get more Rip Riders and Shadow Wrath. Should have realized a lot sooner that's what he's doing. Especially after he started sending his miners. Once I realized that, I started sending my bombers to get more population for giants. I do get Bastion because it aligns with Tower Spawn, and of course, better economy helps out with getting more expensive units like giants out there faster. You'll notice I still have only 1 Eclipser on tower, trying to avoid playing too aggressively. Or too out there, I guess, to avoid a Snow Squall screwing me over. And we're still just both trading population here. I don't know what this whole plan was about. I guess he was trying to take the tower back a few of his units possible. Can you really say the O in that word? But I do send Eclipse Swords to stop him in his tracks. And then I think this is when he tried to get my stack of Eclipsers killed. Because the Snow Squall trapped it. Yep. Lucky for me, Tower Spawn activated just in time. Although the Archers are still targeting my Eclipse Swords. And then here, what I like seeing is the Spearens are in front, which are keeping the Rip Riders in front of the Giants so that they can hit them consistently. If they hit a Shadow Wrath, it stops their Fixate from doing a bunch of damage to said Spearens, which is very nice. A little bit of water. Works out very well. Nearly all my Giants are basically at full health. Lost only, it looks like 2 Spearens and 2 Eclipse Swords from that whole thing. Massive advantage, but at this point I still decided to play passively because of overtime being 7 minutes in Deathmatch. Windless Classic. It's 12 minutes. Then I try to separate my units so that they're less vulnerable to Snow Squall, even though my Eclipsers are all standing in the same line. Then here I'm just camping tower, letting overtime do its thing. Because I know he'll have to attack me sooner or later if he actually wants to have a chance at winning. Oh, and here's the attack. Here I pulled my giant in front of all these other units, because Snowsquall is going to make it super easy for them to get a whole lot of damage in, while my units can barely damage them at all. So cutting off like half their damage per second, just by having one giant here, makes a big difference. Even with the archers semi-cut off, they're still doing a lot of damage to my units on their own. And I think he said attack because he was getting tired of me just camping tower, which is fair. And that is game. On to the next match. Alright, this time it is actually deathmatch, and my deck is a bit different from my classic match deck. I guess we'll call it classic for now. I run Merrick's with this. Well, I used to run Merrick's with this deck because it was just a one-time, you know, gold mana payment for a consistent source of cure and healing. Then as my units are heading towards center tower, I make sure my miners are getting as much gold as possible in there before I have to put my full focus on the center. What I saw was that he's trying to rush and force me to retreat off tower. Because here he had tower spawn, but at the time I thought he was some like Tesla coil secret tunnel with tower spawn. So I'm trying my best to make sure they can't have it, or at least by enough time to the point where his tower controls it too much. I do manage to push him off. Then here I'm doing the same exact thing. Oh, right, I actually said... Wait, did I send those Eclipsers in? There's no way I did. Oh, I did. I bet I did because I was trying to trace down some of their deads. I had to pull them back before they died to the castle archers. Castle deads damage. And here you can see him constantly spamming acid rain on me, trying to get me back off, or at least chip away my army. But since I have so many Merrics, it barely does the thing. I'm getting giants because I know he's going to just spam a whole bunch of juggernauts towards me. Trying to get them as ready as soon as possible. And here I try to send all my Eclipsers, try and do some damage to his economy. At least, okay, not economy. I just targeted the deads for the Salvager Smithy Gold. I don't know what I was trying to do here. Well, one thing I will give my opponent credit for is that he did think ahead and start sending Juggernauts right towards my statue and damage it, which forces me to go on the offensive, which I can't do very well because his Juggernauts kind of just wall me off. By the time I actually get to his side of the battlefield, I can't actually get close to the statue because there's way too many. And my forces get chipped down even with 4 Merrics helping. Also, I think what I could have done better is sacrifice some of my Eclipsers early and leave only one to make sure that tower stays controlled. And just get more Giants and Speartons to help out in the front. Would be able to probably push through very heavily. And to completely undermine the statue chipping that he goes for throughout the match. And here you can see me desperately trying to catch up and damage throughout this whole thing. I nearly gave him tower right there. Almost. But unfortunately, my desperate chipping at him wasn't enough. Even with this last spiriting attempt with it. So I called it quits there. Alright, here's another deathmatch clip. This time I actually changed up my deck a little bit. I figured that the Merrics weren't actually doing that much for me when it came to later on in the match. So I brought in Atreus, because he's like the king of statue chipping. So in case if I have to do that again, I could do it very easily, thanks to his kit. So here's the same start as usual. Have my miners get a better economy going, 2 Eclipsors, some Spiritans. Thought it was suspicious that he only sent in 1 Eclipsor when he has Vault of Prudence. I think this is when I realized that he's going for a super heavy strat with the Giants and Eclipsor spam. So I had to get things rolling to try and stop it as soon as I could. Put as much pressure as possible on him. Yep, there you go, I got a Trails with Clicky at the ready. This is when I was going to first start using the whole user control stuff. Because I knew I wouldn't win in the end game if I didn't do anything. He would just control all of his Giants to be in front of my Eclipsors. My Giants would get shredded, torn apart. My Eclipsors would get shredded, torn apart also. And Spiritans, of course, wouldn't be able to do very much against either. So by using Clicky as an extra shield, sending all the units, do as much damage as possible in a short span of time I got. Because he did have the Castle Archers upgrade, which alongside with Bastion upgrading them even more, made it very tough to stay for a while. So I just used Atreus to get as much damage as possible for having him retreat. And he did miss the Snow Squall, luckily. Unfortunately, that Spirit was not going to make it, so I just sent him to die. Dang, Healing Ward is so bright on the screen. Luckily I have that for a quicker recovery for my units. Don't have to send them all the way back to Garrison. And here was just rinse and repeat at that point. Have my units attack, keep on building my own economy, and just try to win in overtime. I really don't know what my plan was there. Just sent them in to take a whole bunch of damage. At this point I was actually starting to get Giants rolling. And then I see him sending his economy in, so that means he's definitely getting more units. So he's already set up on Vault of Prudence, so I gotta try and take advantage of the fact that he's not fully prepared yet. Because if I take any longer, he's gonna be freely stacking up a bunch of units. So I just had to go in. Try to do the thing where I distract the giant splash damage with another giant. Fortunately, it didn't work all that well because only one of them, actually only 2 of them were distracted. The other one's basically covering the other 2. Then he brings out his stack of Eclipsors, but they weren't fast enough to get to mine. This is when the race began, to try and hold tower for as long as possible, and try to keep his forces back as long as possible. Because all I really have to do is make sure he doesn't get as much damage on a statue as I do. So the whole plan was just stall out, keep bringing tanks in, keep my Eclipsors alive compared to his, and of course abuse Atreus to its fullest, keep sending him towards the statue. Luckily, Salvager Smithy was really keeping me in the game here, in terms of matching his economy. Because without Vault, Smithy's like your second best choice. Took way too much damage there. Luckily, user control ignore is actually doing its thing and benefiting me. Funnily enough, in that last match, user control ignore is actually screwing me over because it wasn't even working properly. Wanted my units to hold tower, and yet somehow that one guy distracted like 2 giants, like 3 Spartans with a single Juggernaut, when they should not have been following him. With how slow his giants were, they were not catching up in terms of statue damage per second compared to my Atreus. The thing was, he was destroying my economy at the time, and overtime wasn't even on yet. So I'm over here trying to focus down his Eclipsors. I'm launching them backwards, so I'm trying to launch them into my own units. And I am struggling for gold here. Nearly all my miners are dead. Now that we're reaching the 7-minute mark, this is where overtime starts to actually kick in. You can tell the massive difference in health between both statues here as well. So I just had to keep on distracting units, try to keep them back as much as possible. And of course use Atreus to keep chipping away as his statue. Make sure he can't win the race. He didn't really have anything else to block for his statue apart from his miners. Which, yeah, they're doing their job, I guess. Oh, but I get so much damage right there. And that pretty much seals the deal. Even with him desperately trying to attack my own statue. There goes. Alright, here's the last match for the video. Which was another face-off against Shadow Wrath Rip Riders, but this time it's a deathmatch instead of classic. Usual start. Wait, didn't he actually try to send an Archidon? Try and capture tower? No, that's a different match I'm thinking of. It was also against Shadow Wrath Rip Rider, but this time they had Thera. Seen a lot of that actually. Shadow Wrath Rip Rider with something else to support it. Either that or this last match, which was giant spam with ranged unit spam. Oh, turns out I am missing one match from this video that I should have. Well, looks I'm not done yet. Okay, that was way too big of a skip. I sent out a Spirit to scout, and they started attacking. And there's the Scorch. Luckily, heal all, healing ward, heal all, whatever, can easily outdo the damage that it does. And here's Atreus to make sure that his archers pretty much can't exist at all. Oh, he's desperately spamming Scorch too. There goes spirits. There goes archers. Shadow Wrath are down. Rip Riders are very weak. Yeah, you do not want to spam Scorch with a few fireballs. Then Clicky's over here just distracting everything. That Rip Rider has a little blip of health left. Send Atreus and a couple of spirits back to heal because... Why did I even do that? I used healing ward anyways. Should just send them back after I used the healing ward. Whatever. Sent a couple back just so that I can have some at the statue. I didn't know his deck fully at the time, so I didn't know if he had tower spawn. Didn't really want to risk him getting tower and getting free units out of it. But since I've gone against this type of deck before, it was really the same thing. just getting spears, getting giants, separate them so that the giants have a better time hitting the Rip Riders. The giants also hit the Shadowwrath to stop their Fixate from stacking up. All that. Pretty sure that was his 1 HP Rip Rider he sent in to get rid of, since you can't garrison them. And here I actually started sacrificing my own units to get more giants. He starts doing the same. Unfortunately for him, his economy is not as stacked as mine, nor does he have any Bastion upgrades. I say that as he starts researching Bastion. And this is where he starts attacking. There's a Snow Squall. Oh, they are not separated properly. The giant's gonna get torn apart. But I did not care about that because my main job was just having a trails, just tear apart his backline. Yeah, that giant constantly keeps trying to hit the Rip Riders because they're just juking him out. He finally goes down, but then when you look back at where Atreus is, his whole backline is dead. So my Eclipsers are untouchable. Apart from Scorch, which he did not target them with. Even if he did, oh, my heal wall is actually an odd cooldown. I find it pretty ridiculous that they reduced the cost of heal wall to 125 compared to Aceraine, Scorch being 150 and 200 respectively. At this point, I think my whole plan was to just push in after I get Atreus healed and Clicky back in. Was that my plan? It was. Okay. Yep, called in Clicky. Oh, I called in Clicky and made Atreus retreat so I could garrison and not force Clicky to retreat early, so we can still use him. Oh, it was definitely over at this point. Pretty sure he just resigned because he knew. Yeah, he definitely resigned. There it is. Now we're on to the final match, where again, it's another giant spam with ranged units set up. I mean, at least this time they have Kaiju, so that's a bit different. This time they actually did send an archer to the tower to try and capture it early, and I really don't know why they brought their miners out, especially if they're running a strat like this. They might have figured the miner attack button, considering it's right under the commands for the army. I do take out one of them at least. I tried to take out another. Do I manage to take out another? Oh, just barely managed to get him. When I saw Kaiju, I immediately realized that this is the whole archer spam setup. Don't know why I decided to keep on attacking though. Kaiju didn't get launched super. Ooh, no, that's Victor. Super far. Let's get ahead a bit. Oh, try going on the offensive because I knew this is another giant spam with ranged unit strat. Clicky gets torn apart super quick. Then he brings out the archers. User control more saves Atreus a lot of damage from these extra archers. I know he's being too aggressive. Fortunately, there goes Atreus. He tries to catch my Eclipsers off, but I do get my spears from time. Just realized that Atreus passive is going to be kind of crazy. Or would it? Because he gets, when he's powered up, he's slightly stronger than he is now. At the same time, it's going to be way later in the match. Unless you deliberately go out of your way to down him a bunch. Yeah, I guess that can work. He won't be completely useless, that is. Do I even... Oh, right here I'm sacrificing population while also trying to get extra damage. Then I see the giant, and that's when I realized I knew exactly what he was going for. Yep, and the archers. So just like the last match, where that one guy was using giants and eclipsors, I just decided to try to do the same thing, force him to be on the aggressive, which is working in all fairness. But he's also just destroyed my eclipsors, because apparently the archers decided that's the top priority. Yeah, he decides to get smart out of nowhere. Try to get Atreus out of there. Unfortunately, he gets hit by a singular stray arrow. Honestly, that one felt personal. Still don't know why they decided to target my eclipsors when there's a literal huge giant right in front of them. It's whatever, I guess. Tries to go for center again. I got my units back. Trying to distract and block, but that spins in range of the castle archers that's destroying his health. Yeah, they distract for like 5 seconds and they get torn apart. Here I'm just stalling for time, trying to hold on to the tower, see if I can use overtime. Oh, now he's sending his economy down. Maybe betray us with Clicky again. At this point I had two choices to keep on trying to chip away at his stack of archers or try to go for statue damage. Looks like I just decided to try and chip away his archers, which was I'm gonna say it was a terrible idea. I don't know if I get one. I get one. A single one from all of that. Should have just sent him towards the statue, really. Not the entire match, the archers just had my eclipsors as their biggest target. Funnily enough, it makes sense too, because it's the only thing that can really hit them behind the giants. I really don't understand what you're targeting sometimes, because you'll have entire rows of units in front, and there will still be a stray projectile that just hits a specific unit, like super low, at the perfect time. I remember this one clip where there's a massive horde of deads in front of the statue, low health magic though, right there. One single arrow perfectly goes through all of it, hits that magic killer and he dies. It was stupid. Anyways, here he's playing a bit too aggressively. So I'm trying to use overtime and my castle archers to try and stall for overtime health. Did I say overtime? Yes, I bet I did. Using everything I have to try and stall, push him back. It really does come down to the wire too. Because you can see that I have basically nothing, because I have no mana to get anything really. I can't really just let him deal damage to the statue like that. Tried to have the Spearman tank for Atreus, but he got too close. One thing I was getting plenty of salvage your smithy gold right there. I'm surprised he didn't control his giant to just directly attack the tower or the statue. Would he have won if he did that? Actually, yeah, he definitely would. The archers would have easily been able to start adding damage to that as well. And here I just send out everything I have, including my miners, to just stall as long as possible. At the same time, also try to not let my eclipsors die, because they're the few units I can use right now. And I get bailed out by overtime, because it's a totally fun and fair mechanic that hasn't been abused for months and maybe even years.